minutes in that game
Wow.
against
So you,
Mexico. Yeah, I played 76 minutes. Probably one of the hardest game of my life.
hmm
Having to guard Hector Herrera.
oh,
Having
well, yes.
so it was definitely challenging, but it have it opened my eyes a bit.
All right. Welcome everybody to another episode of Mo Football. And today I have the pleasure to have Jesse from Chattanooga FC. He's also a international player with Trinidad and Tobago. So this one is the very first one, MLS Next Pro. All excited new team coming in. So we'll get to know a little bit about yourself, your goals, where you come from, and then after that, we will have about 3 or 4 questions about soccer in general.
Mhm.
And then after that, we'll just see where everything else takes us. So how you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be on your podcast. It's an honor, and we'd also like to thank God for blessing us with this opportunity
Yes.
to talk about the beautiful game soccer. I'm excited to see the question that you have for me, and I'm really ex eager to answer it to the best of my ability.
No worries. Nothing too difficult.
Yeah.
Nothing too difficult. So yeah, so a little bit about yourself, because we do know you just transferred to Chattanooga. Could you tell us a little bit more about how you started with the youth and which led you to where you are now?
Oh yeah, so basically I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. I've grew up playing in the youth like U17, U17, U20 national team of Trinidad and Tobago, and there my break kind of stems from. I've also had the opportunity to play in an academy in and around Europe called Lanc FC Academy. It's currently based in Portugal. So I've played in teams like uh Braga. We have played in Spain against different teams like Espanyol, all these teams. We have also been based in Sweden. So I've had a stint in Sweden as well. Then I move on to Coleraine FC in Northern Ireland. From there, I went on some trials like at Bury FC in England, Ipswich FC, uh, and then I found my break. God blessed me with my break to come in the Gold Cup. I've played in the Gold Cup. I think it
Yeah.
was the 2022 Gold Cup with Trinidad and Tobago. Had a good stint there, drawing against Mexico, playing against Guatemala, having a good 2 games. Then Pittsburgh took me from there. Played 1 season with Pittsburgh. Then went down to Des Moines Menace to play for a couple months in the summer, and then I moved on to Fuego. And now I was blessed with the opportunity to represent Chattanooga Football Club in MLS Next Pro. With regarding that, it's been one of not a tough journey, but a very learning experience for me because I'm young, of course, and just growing up, uh, having that ambition to be a professional footballer has always propelled me to do great things. Always propelled me to do things that people thought I would have never done. You know what I mean? So that's a plus on me, with the help from my family, my friends, even people who have invested in me. I've had a lot of people invested in me because they saw something you know, that I have never even saw in myself, and that kind of helped me become the person I am, the player I am, and you know, the individual I am today.
Yeah, and I'm also always impressed on knowing especially the younger kids going to overseas so much so early in their career, and kind of get a world view of out of their comfort zone, that we would call it. And I grew up in France, so I think we've played a lot of against those the Spanish, Portuguese,
Yeah.
and German teams. So it's quite interesting to see how that path that led you to Portugal. So during your youth, was it more of like just playing in the street of Trinidad, and then you were playing in the club setting, or was it just
It's
someone
it's a
saw
balance.
you and
It's a balance of both. the streets kind of like grow me into the individual that I am today,
Mhm.
in the sense as seeing so much stuff happening and around the community. Like I just think growing up, having the mindset that I had back then was like, how can I make a change? How can I be different? How can I impact? You know, how can I help? How can I give back? Also had the opportunity to play with one of probably, arguably the best youth developing coach in Trinidad and Tobago named Anthony Wickham, aka Dada. I've played with St. Anne Rangers. It's also a big club was a big club in Trinidad back then. St. Anne Rangers for most of my, youth day before I head on abroad to Lanc FC. So I have had a good stint in Trinidad. Even the current head coach right now of the national team had given me my first ever professional debut in the Trinidad League.
Nice.
It was under him. So I've had some good times, but as far as it's like, finding that part out was just the mindset and the courage to want better for my community and for my people.
Nice. Yeah, and that's one of those things that kind of attracted me to your story, especially knowing from Chattanooga is um a lot of the we'll say players like us, black, those the stories that led you to, playing in Chattanooga and other leagues, that usually is not told as much.
Hmm.
It's always good to, kind of get that story from not only the we'll say the African Europeans but also from the Caribbeans on how what led you to coming, well, starting in Europe pretty much, and then coming to the US, where
Hmm.
some inspires to go to the US first, then leads them to um, Europe. So, could you tell us a little bit more about your experience in pretty much Scotland and England? Um, was there anything that you kind of learned that kind of helped you, um, the player that you are now?
Yeah, of course. I think the culture in Europe is a lot different to America. Uh, in a sense that they have a different, like my opinion is they have a different passion for soccer. You know what I mean? I think soccer is still growing in America. And the people in charge of the leagues in America have been doing a tremendous good job in the ways it is growing. That's why we have a World Cup coming to America and all these things. But
Yes.
I've learned more of the basics in Europe, learning the fundamentals, how to understand the game, how to adapt, to, play actual football. Growing up, it's having fun. Europe kind of brought that stability in my game, brought that discipline to my game, helped me understand roles and function more, me understand even how to be a better individual, and how to just do things professionally, because it's a professional setup, So it have taught me a lot. Mostly, not everything, but most of the things that I've known now, like help me with my ability to pass, control, think the game, think fast, and be exceptional. I think Europe kind of give me that uh that help and that transition with that concern. But I've also learned a lot in America for the past few years. The transition haven't been easy, but it's definitely been it's been a ride that I won't trade for nothing, because it has taught me a lot, and I'm really grateful for my past coaches, past teammates, everyone who have played an integral part in me becoming who I am today. And
Uh,
because of those lessons is why I'm in this situation today, and I can, be available to actually have this conversation with you right now. So just a special shout and thanks to everyone that played a part. And a big shout out to God for sure, because he's the one that made it all possible.
Definitely, and we'll definitely say Chattanooga, their PR team is quite exceptional. I will definitely
Yeah,
for
top
a team
class.
for yes for MLS Next Pro. Even though I follow St. Louis City and all that, they're definitely one that's you see quite a lot from those from their
Hmm.
their team. So
Yeah.
and we definitely see your face a lot in their social media, so that certainly helps
Yeah.
at the same time.
Hmm.
So what would you say, how, you know, having all that experience from like European and the Caribbean soccer, football and European football, and now knowing, how to play in the US. What would you say is like maybe one difference or something that you maybe, tell a younger player that if they had that opportunity, you know, what did you learn from those three um, continents?
Um, like it's just the discipline of the game. I mean, no matter where you play or what country you play with or which team you play with, everyone is different. But how can you adapt? That's the first thing, how to adapt. Not only for your own self, but how can you adapt within the team philosophy, within the team, uh, you know, style and playing styles and stuff. So I think adapting is one of the most important thing. And how can you be the best person you can be within the team philosophy? You know what I mean? Sometimes it's difficult for sure. It's difficult because it's easy for me to come right now and say all the nice things because
Yeah.
it's easy to say the nice things, but it's challenging because everyone has different backgrounds, different ethnicity, everything is different. But the most important thing that I think helped me throughout those transition was understanding who I am and where I want to be and why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. And I think just having that faith in God as well, believing in God, praying, asking for that guidance, asking for that protection, asking for that favor kind of helped me as well, like tremendously. And yeah, as I said, it's just being able to adapt and conquer all the challenges because there's challenges every day. You face challenges every single day. How can you conquer it? How can you grow? And how can you hold yourself accountable as well? You know what I mean? And that's something like I'm speaking it now, but I'm learning it today. I'm learning how to hold myself accountable. I'm learning how to do things differently. You know what I mean? And it's just basically that, trusting God, knowing how to adapt, and being resilient, and just going for your dream and knowing where you want to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and it does certainly show, especially that you had to learn very early on.
Hmm.
So would you say it's like when you moved to those other countries, was it by yourself, or you had kind of a support system, or was it you having to just pretty much, going from a kid all the way to an adult because you're um overseas?
Yeah, it was. I wasn't by myself. I had a lot of fellow mates from Trinidad as well when I was
Okay,
at Lanc FC, which made it way more easier.
right.
But I would say is that the person I am, like my level of thinking is different to others. They have helped me by just having their presence there have helped me a lot. But knowing that I have a family to take care of, knowing that I have young kids looking up to me, knowing that I even lost my little brother at a young age when I was in Portugal.
Sorry
So
to
all
hear
these
that.
things kind of fuel me differently, to really fight for change, to push for change. Like, the way I watch at football is like it's a it's a blessings from God to me to give back. It's my calling to help the younger persons that, probably fall in contact with me, probably see me play once. How can I be a good role model? How can I be that person that, they can look up to and say, yes, he have done it, I can do it too. So those are like the things that kind of shape me and help me and, motivate me to say, to like just get it done by any means. You know what I mean? So I think, yeah,
Nice.
that's it.
Yes, and that's awesome, and that's definitely one of those things that um, we praise our soccer players definitely, because sometimes you do see that mentality where they don't always see themselves as just soccer player. It's more of the community and how they can build out to from where they come from. So that's definitely applaudable. from you, especially knowing, when you come to a sports and, so you could be in your own tunnel vision and
Yeah,
not see the outside. So it's definitely good to hear that the younger generations, even though, you hear the noise from the left and the right and all
yeah,
that about the young. So it's definitely good to hear from people like you, um, you know, with your own words of what drive you to those. And that's why I always tell my son and all of the daughters that we coach, it's like you said, making sure that they don't only see the glitz and glamour of what the sport is, but also that, you know, people like yourself have to go to those struggles to maybe make it a little easier for some.
yeah,
So that's definitely appreciated from your part, especially. Um, and knowing that you are a defender, so now we'll start maybe a little bit more of the fun part of what
yeah,
football is all about now. So you were so you are a defender.
yeah,
So
defender.
did you first start as a defender, or was it more of like, my situation where I was a forward, and then as I progress through the ranks, I start moving back all the way to a right back?
No, I was always a defender.
Oh,
Actually,
wow.
I've actually done some time in the goal as well. I was a goalkeeper for a stint in my
Wow, that's
career, like
okay.
growing up. I can still save a bit if if my team need a forward goalkeeper, or if anything is to happen, God
Yeah.
forbid. I
Mhm.
think I can fill those shoes. But yeah, I've always been a defender. That's where my attributes lies, and that's where, my game really tells. Like the way I think the game, the way I read the game, the way I play. So yeah, it's always been in my blood for sure. I was never that goal scoring player. I was more
Wow.
the guys to
So you're one of the few that I know personally that started in their position and are still there.
yeah.
Um, and unfortunately, I guess when I moved to the US, I was a little bit taller coming from France,
Oh
and
yeah.
had a little bit more of the skills. So through club soccer and then high school, then college, I start moving backward all the way to the back. So so knowing that you were a defender from through and through, what was those maybe one or two defenders that you were looking up to, and why?
I've looked up to Thiago Silva a
Okay,
lot, and one of my good friends in Trinidad named Michael Williams.
okay,
So I've looked up to these guys because, I kind of see my style in them. I've seen Thiago Silva, how he's so resilient, uh he's so passionate, he just loves the game differently, and these is people that I want to idolize, people that respect the game, people that love the game, people that you can learn from by just watching them play. You know what I mean? So those guys has played an integral part in my development. Also had the opportunity to play with Michael Williams in Pittsburgh, my my
wow.
growing up idol.
So you grew up idling and then bam
Yeah.
playing. All right, that's
So I played with him in Pittsburgh, even with the national team. So
wow. So that was
yeah.
so what? So you were pretty much ready to retire from there because you're like you saw your idol, you got to play with them. You just pick up
No,
your
no,
shoes and
no,
say,
no.
"All right, well,
I still has, I still know people wish to play with me someday. So hopefully I can fulfill
yeah,
that shoes before I retire.
yeah,
But yeah, for sure, it was definitely a humbling experience knowing that I can, like, I've once watched him on TV, like watch him on TV, and now I'm alongside him, playing with him, playing in the same team as him every day, day in, day out. Like, that kind of even motivate me more that,
yeah,
dreams dreams are possible, man. Like if you dream big and you're really dedicated to your dreams and you push towards it, it's it's in the reach. You know what I mean? And like just coming from, sorry for going off track, but coming
no,
from,
no, go ahead,
yeah, coming from where I came from in Trinidad, like there's so much violence right now, so much crime right now. You know what I mean? And every day I just tend to think like, how can I be a difference? How can I shine light on my country once again? And I just think that, just being in this position can probably uh help someone because you never know who's watching, right? Even around the world, Trinidad has crime, but even around the world on a whole has a lot of violence too. So like, how can I be a change